Okay, great. Well, we're going to go again and get started. So first off, I want to say we apologize for our inconvenience here for the technical difficulties. And so, um, but we're going to jump in and hopefully make sure that you get all the right information and the good information that you need to hear today. So first off, I want to say hello and thank you for all joining me today. My name is Amira Ravino Bay, and I had our NerdWallet's sales and partnerships team and primarily on the partnership side. And so today I am with my colleague James Ng, who leads our consumer credit and debt efforts. And so, before we even get kicked off, I do have to say thank you to the NAACP for co hosting this very special webinar with us today, but specifically Charles Lowry, who is able to really get this off the ground. And so Charles Lowry is our Senior Director of NAACP Economic Development. Thank you, Charles, and we're going to go ahead and get this kicked off. So as we're starting off today, I want to make sure that everyone knows the agenda of what we're trying to talk about to make this webinar very special. But if you do have questions, and as you experienced earlier today, we had a little bit of technical glitches. On the right side of your YouTube channel, you should see on there an ability to chat and talk to us, and we have a team dedicated. As well as if you want to ask us questions, you can do that as well all throughout. I actually have my nifty little iPad, and I'll be able to answer all your questions for you. As well as we have a phone number that you can call. Let me give that to you. It's 415 908 1164. That's 415 908 1164. All right. So today's webinar is focused on payday loans spiraling out of control, fighting predatory lending with alternatives with smart finances. We're going to talk about four things today. The current state of the payday loan industry, how predatory lending is moving online, what NerdWallet is doing to fight back, and of course, how you can help. So I'm going to start off and ask James our first question to start us off, and that is, who is NerdWallet and what is your mission?
Sure. So, Mira, thanks so much for having us here today. So, first, NerdWallet, we are a consumer-first company that is focused on providing clarity for all of life's financial decisions, and we do that across a variety of different topics. As you can imagine, financial decisions cut across all of your finances, whether it comes to buying a house, whether it comes to buying a car, credit cards, loans, insurance, shopping. We are a one-stop shop for any advice that you do need. And our overall goal is to provide consumers both the clarity when they make a decision and also the confidence that they're making the best decision for them and their families.
Great. And so you're doing this by, having articles and tools you mentioned?
Exactly right. So across NerdWallet, you'll be able to find various types of content that our team of writers have created, in addition to tools and soon an app where you can log in and use to help you manage your finances better.
Thank you. So this webinar is about payday lending. Is NerdWallet offering payday loans to its customers?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. In fact, we're trying to do the exact opposite. Our goal is to hopefully help those who are targeted by payday loans get the clarity they need when faced with, frankly, an unfortunate situation.
Great. We might have a very diverse audience out there, so I think it's important to explain what is a payday loan and how does it work. So do you mind taking a couple of seconds to share with us what that is?
Sure. So payday loan at its core is what the name implies. It's if someone is running tight on their paycheck, they might go out and take a loan to meet their cash needs until the next paycheck comes in, hence the term payday loans. They also are typically structured to be very short-term loans, so quite often they're only 2 weeks. The challenge is these very short-term loans come with exorbitant interest rates, often in the hundreds of percentage points, if not thousands. And that, in addition to these loans being structured so that often it's cheaper just to renew the loan rather than being able to fully pay it off given the new interest, quite often people who get payday loans get caught in a cycle of debt where they just continuously get new payday loans to pay off old payday loans instead of ever being able to fully get out of that cycle of debt.
Great. Do you know what the average interest rate usually is?
Sure. So, according to our friends at the Pew Charitable Trust, the average interest rate for payday loans is 329%. But in
Did you just say
fact,
329%?
329%.
Okay.
But they also found that the interest rates often for online loans can be even higher than that, or often typically are higher than that.
Higher than 329%.
Yes.
Okay. Wow. So why does NerdWallet care about payday lending to begin with?
Sure. So, I noted earlier, that NerdWallet's mission is to provide clarity for all of life's financial decisions, and that literally means every American that can use our website. And so, these decisions, frankly, if someone's in a tough spot and might be in a situation where they need a payday loan, that's someone that we want to help as well.
Mm-hmm.
And according to research or the Pew, there are about 12 million people every year who get payday loans. Many of them, increasing number of them, getting those loans online. And that's something that NerdWallet is uniquely positioned to help, and we'll
Mm-hmm.
get into that shortly.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of alluded to over 329% is the interest rate. And so we're going to focus on online payday loans. So, you know, we mentioned it was dangerous. I guess what is really going on there in the online space?
Sure. So, imagine someone that we all may know, Miss Jones. We call her. She is a millennial, but she's unfortunately a single mom. She grew up in a place where there are payday loans in her community. Right? She's passed them many times when she's driven down the local interstate.
Mm-hmm.
But she swore to herself that she would never step into one of those storefronts. But unfortunately, she's got caught behind on rent, and she's really in a tough spot. She doesn't have friends or family in the area, and she doesn't know what else to do. But she does have a smartphone.
Mm-hmm.
What she may do, and what a lot of people do, it turns out, she goes onto her smartphone, but even though she knows payday loans are bad, she's heard it, and that's the last option. So she Googles payday loans, and seeing just what might be out there.
Okay.
And if you do that, if you're in front of a computer, if you're to Google payday loans, you're going to see a jungle of predatory lenders. All the ads there, and much of the organic search results are links to payday lenders. No different than the storefronts that you see on the interstate. And quite often they're the same company that
Mm-hmm.
with their online division. And that's terrible, what we think. And this poor Miss Jones, she's in a tough spot. She goes to look for help, looking to Google for help,
Mm-hmm.
and instead Google sends Miss Jones right back to the arms of the predatory lenders. And in fact, we did some research, and it turns out that there are over 300,000 searches for the term payday loans every month. That compares to there are about, I think, 200,000 searches for the term Adidas shoes, 250,000 searches for the term credit cards, but 300,000, more than both Adidas shoes and credit cards, searches for just the term payday loans.
So that means there's a lot of people out there looking for them and they're finding them.
Absolutely. And that doesn't include, the 300,000 number doesn't include other terms such as fast cash or
Mm-hmm.
quick money. These are other terms that if you try it on Google,
Mm-hmm.
you will find lists and lists of payday lenders.
Okay. So, you know, that is a huge number. How big is this industry are we talking about? I mean, it is a business. How big is it?
Sure. So payday loans as a whole, according to some industry analysts, there are about $40 billion of loans issued every year, generating upwards of $7 to $8 billion in revenues for these payday lenders. Of that,
7 billion.
$7 billion total.
Yeah. The number's grown since we last saw.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
number has grown, and of that $7 billion, the amount that's been earned online has continued to grow. So, according to research done by the Pew, again, that number was about 1 to 1.5 billion in 2006.
Mm-hmm.
The number has grown to now $4 billion in 2013, which accounts for almost 1/3, depending on how you cut the numbers, 1/3 to a majority of revenues now online.
Wow. I'm just thinking about how I know, certain states have actually outlawed it, and that really is about the stores that they see, but not online. Is that correct?
Yes, So while it is technically illegal for a lender to provide payday loans even online
Right.
in some of the 14 or so, I think the latest number, it could be off, states where payday loans are banned, even though it is illegal for lenders to look for or solicit payday loans in those states, quite often it's hard for the police or for the state to be able to police what happens on the internet in those states.
Wow. So let's go back to Miss Jones. You talked about NerdWallet. You talked about how big this problem is. We all might know a Miss Jones. What is NerdWallet doing today to help Miss Jones?
Sure. So back in April or May, with the help of Mr. Charles Laurie, we first identified that this was a problem.
Mm-hmm.
We went down to Alabama, went to an NAACP event where we heard about and presented some of these issues.
Mm-hmm.
At that point in time, we put up a static page, essentially trying to attest to see if we could capture interest or capture some of these searches of individuals looking for payday loans. And what we found was we put up a site that you may have seen. We will send it out afterwards. We'd love to show it to you now, but given some of the technical challenges, we aren't able to show you. But if you were to Google cheap payday loans,
Mm-hmm.
the NerdWallet anti-payday loan site can be found there.
If I Google cheap
Cheap
payday
payday
loans.
loans. Yes.
Okay, Google cheap payday loans, and I'll see this NerdWallet
Yes.
page. Okay.
It will say payday loans, dangers, and best alternatives.
Okay.
That's the initial site we've put up. And that was really validated what we were trying to do because we worked with only a couple lenders there, a couple of partners that we identified briefly at that point in time. And that website, almost overnight, was getting 200 to 300 visits a day, which meant 200 to 300 Miss Joneses looking for payday loans instead of coming to our little website, which wasn't really promoted at all, and clicking over to some of our partners. And turns out the volume that we were driving through that one simple website overwhelmed the lender we were working with. And they had to actually turn off the program because they didn't have enough infrastructure in place to help the few lenders that are the borrowers that we were sending.
Mm-hmm.
And so we knew that we identify, hey, this is a big problem area. And what
Mm-hmm.
can we do to do a better job, both in getting more reach, so more people are able to be helped, but at the same time being able to aggregate more of these lenders, both on the nonprofits across the country, to work together. These lenders we call lenders with souls.
Lenders with souls.
Lenders with souls.
What are lenders with souls?
So a slightly cheeky term,
Yeah.
and maybe it's not totally fair to split the world that way, but we think of lenders with souls as truly mission-driven lenders who lend not just to make a quick buck, but really with the borrower in mind as well, and who really want the borrower to succeed when they're taking the loan.
Mm-hmm.
Quite often, these are credit unions, community banks, even nonprofits, or other. We know there's church groups and local governments support different types of these programs, where it's either a loan, where it's a low interest loan from one of these lenders, or even sometimes a grant from a local charity or government group, all targeted so that consumers, that borrowers who otherwise get a payday loan, don't have to go down that route.
Okay, but they already probably have maybe some way to advertise or market or websites or some presence out there. Don't most of them have that or no or?
They absolutely do. But if you think about Yelp, for example, when you're looking for a restaurant, usually, at least I do, I would just go to Yelp and kind of search through there. Very rarely do I just look directly for that restaurant. Often I even know that there's a restaurant, let's say, in downtown Oakland or downtown Berkeley. And that's what I think one of the big challenges for some of these nonprofits and other groups.
Mm-hmm.
They've got incredibly powerful resources available for the local communities, but consumers like Ms. Jones have a hard time finding them specifically in their point of need.
Mm-hmm.
And this digital generation, people are always on their cell phones, and that's where they go first. They might not even look in the yellow pages or be able to look at the bulletin boards in the local church, local town hall, where today that's where they're posting.
Right.
And they have a hard time finding the resources in that point of need. And so they jump straight to Google.
So I'm with you, right? So today we can go and if I looked up cheap payday loans and I'm Miss Jones, I Google that and I find NerdWallet.
Sure.
talk to me a little bit about what I will find at NerdWallet and how these lenders are sold and how does it all work. You talked about Yelp, but can you explain to me a little bit more?
Yeah, of course. So over time, hopefully not over time, over the next few months, we are working on building a much more robust experience catered towards these Miss Jones, like the millions of Miss Jones across America. We want to build an experience that captures both the supply and the demand. So let me explain that. The first, on the demand side, we've discussed a little bit at length. There are millions of folks like Miss Jones, unfortunately, being caught in this trap, or being caught in a tough situation and going online and searching. If we're able to get in front of as many of those individuals, as many of those Miss Jones as we can, that's a lot of people that we are redirecting away from the websites of the payday lenders. That's a demand side. On the supply side, if we can get and bring together the organizations, the local nonprofits across the country, and specifically in the 34 to 36 states where laws still permit payday loans, if we can bring those organizations together and compile them in a way on our site, on our website, that is easily searchable for when Miss Jones comes to the website, we can change a lot of lives. Not only are we able to capture those individuals, Miss Jones, very quickly, we will be able to show them some information about, hey, this loan, it can be very bad for you if you get a payday loan. And then once they enter their zip code, they'll be served up a list of, hey, here are the 5 organizations in your community that can help you right now. There might be the community bank, there might be a local nonprofit, there might be a government program, rental assistance. We're open and looking for all types of organizations to include in this database. And instead, Ms. Jones will click right, we'll be able to see, quickly learn that this is pay loans are a bad idea. And if she still needs help, be able to be directed to the websites or the contact information for one of these local nonprofits in your community.
Wow. You talked about it's important. We already know there's a ton of people out there searching, and until they'll fall onto the website, hopefully with NerdWallet.
Yep.
And then you're going to have lenders with souls, the good guys out there, being able to help and support them. So, what are you charging? What are you charging? What are you charging, Miss Jones and the organizations?
And that's the crazy thing. Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing. And
Okay.
that could be hard to believe, but we have promised the nonprofits we're working with, the partners in the advocacy world, our partners in the government, that this is something that we can do because that for a number of reasons. First, it's the right thing to do. NerdWallet is a consumer-first company. We want to keep the interest of consumers at heart across all of our experiences, and the experience for the underbanked and unbanked is no different. We found that this is a demographic that is already struggling, and for us to go in and try to charge, it literally what comes from the pockets of those already marginalized in society, which is not the right thing to do. And so we are not charging neither the user, which is Ms. Jones, or the nonprofits who we love to share on the website.
Okay.
And the second thing is, we, to full disclosure, we do make money on other parts of the website, similar to how Yelp makes money if someone books a restaurant through them, or Priceline makes money if someone books an airline flight through them. We do make money when someone uses our services and goes through and gets a mortgage, or is able to afford a car, or open an investment account. We believe that if we are able to help Miss Jones in her moment of need, and hopefully get her to the resources she needs today, when she's able to get back on her feet, when she's able to think about buying that car, or thinking about opening a IRA or a 429 for her kids, she'll come to NerdWallet and use our tools and services to help her in that journey as well.
Okay, thank you. So, you talked a little bit about the people that are going to be there. We talked about there's no cost for her.
Yes.
There's no cost for these organizations. Let me peel back a little bit and ask you about.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about these organizations that you are partnering with.
Sure. So these are organizations across the U.S. excuse me, that we have been talking to already, and they fall into a number of different types. excuse me. One are groups like the NAACP, who are helping us spread the word. First, that this is an issue that payday loans are moving online, as the message that the Pew Charitable Trust, has found. Organizations like Alabama Appleseed and the various Appleseed organizations
Mm.
across the country, in addition to groups like the Center for Responsible Lending. These are large nonprofits that have been working, that individuals there spend their careers fighting this.
Yeah, like
Uh,
Shea Farley,
like
right?
Shea Farley,
Yeah.
exactly. And our what we want to do is come alongside these individuals and these organizations to support them in their mission.
Great.
Another group of groups are actually the local nonprofits who are literally on the front lines. We're the ones in their communities with the passion and the desire to help people. And we want them to be able to help more people. And we want them to help them. We've talked to a lot of them, and often their biggest pain point and struggle is being able to get the word out
Mm-hmm.
to this digital generation that's always mobile. How do they reach out to that generation? And we, as NerdWallet, as a tech firm working in the space, that's our core competency. That's what we're good at. And so, this is an opportunity that's unique, that we think NerdWallet can uniquely add value and provide a service that's needed by millions of Americans.
Yeah. Yeah, we already know that the payday lenders are out there online and they're digital. So, um, yeah. So if you have questions and you still want to ask us some questions, if you need some help, let me give you a number you can dial in while we continue this dialogue. It's a 415-908-1164. Give us a call.
Sure. And I will note that we were hoping to show some of the screenshots. We do have a few demos of this website ready, but unfortunately, given the technical challenges, we're not able to show them to you today. But we will send them out when we're ready. But we have built the basic infrastructure for this tool experience, and we hope to go live with it within a couple of months.
Tell me a little bit about what does this tool look like? I'm Miss Jones and I go in there. What will I see and how does it help me?
Sure. And so, if you were to, so for example, the ideal situation, right? The end state that we're solving for. One day, we love to get this point where if Miss Jones, when she Googles payday loans, the first organic search result at the top of the page. Well, I'm sorry, not at the exact top, because the top are going to be ads from the payday lenders. NerdWallet, we can't go and buy all the ads. It's just not feasible for us. But in the organic results, where Google serves up what they think are the best results, we would love to be that first link. And if we can get that first link, if the Miss Jones, when she searches for payday loans, she clicks on that link, she gets a NerdWallet, what you'll see is a quick visual that, hey, be careful. A payday loan can really turn out really bad given the interest rates, given the way they're structured. But if you type in her zip code right here, she can type in the zip code and automatically populate with the lenders with souls we talked about.
Great.
And that's what we're working on building today. We have a few organizations, and we have a small team dedicated to finding more of these organizations. But we do need your help, and that's why we're here today to talk about both opportunity to help us spread the word, but also hope if you know of organizations that should be part of this,
Mm-hmm.
Any organization that can be a lender, it can be a program that provides grants
Mm-hmm.
For rental assistance or any sort of program where consumers can go to instead of a payday loan. We love to be talk to you and hear more from you. And over time, we love to build the experience out. So it's not just lenders, but perhaps counseling, financial counseling can be another opportunity, or helping people navigate taxes, or maybe even job searches, all through one portal dedicated to bring the underbanked, the underserved resources that they desperately need in a non-predatory way.
Great. So let me make sure I capture that. So, there's like 4 steps you're looking for. One, spread the word. Payday lending is moving online.
Yes,
right?
That's absolutely true.
2, I have here, we need to add more people, more great organizations, lenders with souls, to this
Yes.
database,
Yep.
right? So we need help with that. 3, we need to make sure that we're promoting and sharing what we've learned today through social media, websites, everywhere, so that the word can be shared, right?
Absolutely.
And then 4, stay in touch with us and making sure that as we're continuing the dialogue, we're able to make sure that we're plugged in. And so I think I have here that if you join us, it's at nerd.me /webinar, nerd.me/webinar. So I'm looking here on our trusty iPad here, and it looks like we got our first question. So, um, are there other organizations out there taking this cause on already?
Sure. And there are a lot of organizations. These are some of these nonprofits we love to work with. Historically, this is a space specifically trying to fight payday lending, um, where the only private players, the only private sector players, are payday lenders themselves. And so, when a private player or private company like us enters the fray, it is with questions that we are that we're looked at, which is totally fair, right? Just given the history of how the private sector has acted in this space. We hope, of course, to change that, right? And we truly are here to be consumer first and do what's right for consumers. And our mission isn't at all to displace, and if we know we can't do it, right? We know that fighting predatory lending is requires a multi-pronged approach, right? You need the people on the front lines in the communities, like we said before, on the front lines. And we can't do that. But there are organizations out there that can and that are, and we want to come alongside those organizations to help them, fight the good fight against
Joining the
this.
cause.
Join the cause. Right?
Great.
We want to be another arrow in their quiver as they go about doing the great work that they're doing.
Great. All right, so I got another question in here. Are there loan programs where a person can take out a loan to pay back numerous school loans, which will allow a person to pay one entity instead of multiple?
Sure. So, so the question is about essentially bringing together multiple school loans. And yes, there are programs out there. You do have to be careful. The programs are essentially student loan consolidation programs, and we do have some great content at NerdWallet about some of these programs. I do say to be wary because there are a lot of scams in this space as well. Um, Specifically, what does come to mind is the federal government will help you consolidate your loans for free. And so there are certain programs that are out there that if you qualify, they will help you do just that. Take multiple student loans and combine them into a single loan that you can pay off over time. And there are other, if you also qualify, there are ways to refinance your student loans as well, which is another opportunity or another financial decision that NerdWallet has a lot of great content and tools on its website working describing as well.
Thank you. Thank you. Your wallet has that.
Yes.
Awesome. I got another question here that just came in. So, payday loans, are these business owners, big corporations, small companies looking to make a buck off of the misfortune of others?
Sure. So that's a fantastic question.
Thank you to our.
Yeah. So if you have, I don't want to be too blunt, but I will speak bluntly, and our PR team might get mad at me. But if you are, if you don't have, I said lenders without souls, if you don't have no sense of moral more clarity, payday lending is a great business, right? Because you have incredibly high margins. You have customers who keep coming back to you, buying the very expensive products you have, and the government just hasn't gotten around to regulating you, and you just keep doing it, and you make billions of dollars of fees from or profit from the loans that you're giving out, and you're easily to reinvest all that profit into more ads, into more locations, and that's where we saw a lot of the movement online. The payday lenders are spending hundreds of millions of dollars on digital ads online to get to buy those spots at the top of the Google searches. Of course, we can't afford to go and buy all those ad spaces. What we can do is to create experiences that instead, when Google's looking for the best organic search result, will be there.
Yeah.
And so to answer the question, who are these companies? A lot of them.
Do you mind if I just pause there? You said organic search, and you said it another time before. So I just to make sure I'm clear on what an organic search is, and for those that are joining with us today. So when you're saying that, I'm envisioning, there are ads when I go up there. If I'm looking for, I don't know, the best shoes, or I'm looking for some shoes, I need a pair of shoes. So it's that box on top that are ads that you're calling out. Those people pay there to show me their shoes, but below that, you'll see that ranking order of shoes that come up. If I said, I need red high heel shoes, those are the ones that show up there, and they show up there organically. How?
So, let me I'll explain with an analogy.
Yeah,
Okay,
that'd be great.
so you can think of Google as a uh, bookstore slash library.
Mm,
Okay, and when you type in a search into the Google box, you're asking essentially. Let's imagine the front lady or the front gentleman at the front desk of this imaginary bookstore slash library. Uh, what you get in terms of the results page. And the reason I say it will become clear why I say half library, half uh, bookstore is that the top of the page is where Google acts like a bookstore.
mm,
The top 3 or 4 results are Google acting like a bookstore. Basically, if you are a website, you can pay Google to get your book, or in this case, your website,
mm.
right in front of consumers. So if you walk into a bookstore, you often might see some books at the front aisle. Quite often, those are promotions done by the bookstore for books that the authors or publishers want to sell. The reason it's a library is that Google also returns what are called organic results, which are what Google themselves thinks are the best results for that search.
Mm.
And so similarly, like a librarian, if you ask them, hey, what's the best book on Wolverines? They're not going to try to give you the book that the newest one that was just someone's paying the money to do so. That wouldn't be right for the librarian to do so. Instead, the librarian goes and finds the best book in her mind that meets your need, which is the best book for librarians. And the question is, so how does the librarian know what's the best book for you?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the magic of Google. And that's why Google, it's a separate conversation, it's such a huge company, is they invest a lot of effort. A lot of engineers and product folks are doing a ton of research into developing algorithms to figure out how results are shown. But in some, they really do look for quality. They look for what are websites that can be trusted,
Mm.
what are websites that are being shared, what are websites that people that they find trustworthy are promoting. And that's where, again, everyone here on the webinar comes in. We definitely, rely on you guys and rely on the voices of others across the U.S. to help us say, hey, this is something that's worth noting. What we're doing at NerdWallet is something that's worth fighting for and something that's good for consumers. And that's why it deserves to be shared.
Thank you. Thank you. I wanted to make sure we capture that. I want to make sure I answer back onto are the payday loans business owners. Like, can you name a couple of payday loan companies
Yeah.
out there? I mean, I don't know if
Yes.
most people know what they are.
There are quite a few. And so while there are still some small ones, just like how the small corner stores have now been kind of rolled up into Walmarts and I guess I can't say Kmart, but I guess they're out of business now. But like Targets of the world, same thing has happened to payday lending. There has been these big roll-ups where they've now turned into massive conglomerates. So, for example, one big company is called Ace Cash. They were acquired by a private equity firm for, I think it was over almost $500 million in 2013. $500 million. There's another company, the largest payday lender in America, is called Advance America. They're not really advancing America, but that's their name. And they were actually acquired by a Mexican billionaire for I think close to over $800 million a couple years ago. So a Mexican billionaire who runs a chain of payday lenders in Mexico came to the U.S. and acquired for $800 million the largest payday lender in America. So the point is, these aren't.
Business.
This is a big business
big
with
business.
multi-million, $100 million budgets for ads, especially those online.
Wow. Okay. Well, I got a couple more questions in, and I know that we need to wrap up soon, but let me answer these. And thank you again for sending them over. So the next question I have is, has NerdWallet started to reach out to some of the trusted consumer advocacy groups, such as Center for Responsible Lending, National Consumer Law Center, Consumer Federation of America, Pew, and others? Have you started reaching out to them?
Absolutely. We'll go back to the Pew, right? A lot of the stats we've cited here came from the fantastic work that the Pew Charitable Trust have done. We've spoken directly with many, not many, but some of the analysts there, and very appreciative of their work that they do. And we had wanted to show one of their videos that they put out, and you should definitely check it out if you have a second. If you go on YouTube and search for Pew Payday Loans, there's a number of fantastic videos very quickly describing what a payday loan is that you can share. And we'll send it out as well.
Yeah, make sure you sign up and we'll send that out to you.
But other groups like the Center for Responsible Lending, we've worked with folks like Paul Leonard there, who's been very informative. it is a space that, as we mentioned before, one that's fraught with danger, and that again, private companies like NerdWallet are typically seen with big question marks, given the history of private players in the space have all been payday lenders. But we have over time, we were working towards really putting forth that hey, we are yes, we are a for-profit company, but we do want to do what's best for consumers. And this is a space where we do think that what NerdWallet can do, NerdWallet can bring to consumers across America is quite powerful, and can be a fantastic tool to enable us to really fight payday lending online. Which, to be honest, it's gone uncontrolled. There's no one doing anything about online payday lending because the only folks who can afford to do so are the payday lenders themselves.
Wow. Well, I have in here another question coming in. Got a couple questions coming in.
Sure.
Um,
Okay. So this one here.
all right, so this one just came in. Okay, so question here or comment really is that agreeing payday lending is predatory, but the demand from sub 600 FICO consumers who need money ASAP is massive. Are there responsible direct lenders who are cheaper than payday who can also service the demand?
Absolutely. And this is a space we are also very keen to explore. It is a fine line, right? And uh, as I mentioned before, the regulations, the guidelines from the government have not always been the most clear. We do follow the CFPB's guidance as it relates to small dollar lending to the T. And, they mentioned the 36% interest rate cap. We follow that. We don't work with any lenders who lend above that. And similarly, they really are promoting lenders find ways to, or they plan to enforce that lenders have to be able to figure out if lenders are able to repay before they give a loan. And we were interested and eager to help lenders achieve that. But to the question about are there lenders, there are. And it is a business model where the lenders really have to take a hard look at themselves, and to really think creatively with partners potentially like us to find ways to identify those who truly need a loan versus those who, frankly, are just looking to get a quick buck, who don't need to pay rent, right? Who are just trying to get some money so they can go to Vegas or not pay back the loan. And it's very hard. And I do empathize with lenders because it is a space, especially with folks who don't have a lot of credit history or low FICO. They get bucketed in with people who have cheated the system, right? And so it's an unfortunate byproduct of what the system has sort of come up with. But the punchline is, there are responsible direct lenders out there. And we are eager to work with them and try to find ways to work with them. And it is, again, the earlier point is, it is a space that is fraught with lack of clarity from different players, in that because there are no clear rules being set, their interpretations of the rules can go a variety of different ways, often based on what state you're in, or even how you interpret what is a good loan. And so it is something that we are working hard to get right. And again, we love to get your feedback and working with some of the groups like the Center for Responsible Lending, with NAACP, with other groups such as that, to help educate us and for us to really develop a strong view. And we are working towards that view, but we love to continue in dialogue with other organizations about that.
Great. Well, I think the answer to that is, are the direct lenders who are cheaper? I think we got a little bit, but we're looking for some more. And with some of the organizations we're partnering with today, we're envisioning that we're going to have more on that website. So I'm going to take our last question here. And so, how much capital do these nonprofits have to meet the demand? Can they underwrite the loans quickly? What happens if none of the loan holders pay them back? And will the nonprofits continue to be funded? What do you know about that?
Yeah, so that's literally the $1 million question. Is really discerning between those who truly have a need, whether it's rent, who like Miss Jones are in a tough spot, or online, essentially scam artists who are just trying to take some money and then not pay back. And it's not an easy problem to solve, and that is why we do think that having a physical location is paramount. Maybe it doesn't have to be, but it does help, right? I think the act of going in person to a location, saying, "Hey, I need this help," or the organization says, yes, we'll give you the loan that you need right now, but you do have to work through the counseling or work through an advisor, financial counseling, or with a budget advisor to help you get your budget in shape.
Hmm.
Quite often, money by itself just causes more problems. It's usually money plus some sort of advice that really is a sustainable solution for those individual consumers. And then with regards to meeting the demand, that is where I think NerdWallet is thinking hard about how can we help. Today, we're building is very much just a quick, kind of like Yelp, right? You come in, all we know is that what your zip code is, and we send you back out into back to the partner. Over time, you can think of an experience where NerdWallet, because you have an app, you can log in, create an account in NerdWallet. We'll be able to figure out and help these nonprofits figure out whether the borrower coming to them is truly a Miss Jones or if they are a scam artist. But that's down the line. Definitely something that we want to collaborate with nonprofits out there to um, to work towards. And then the last part of the question with regards to um, you know how much capital is needed. That's again a very tough question in that there's clearly a huge demand for these small dollar loans, which is what's fueling this $40 billion of payday lending being issued every year. We can't solve every problem, but we can start with one lender at a time, one Miss Jones at a time. I think each Miss Jones we're able to help. That's one person that we've helped who would have otherwise gone and gotten a payday loan. And so while we have to work together to figure out how to make the funding and making sure we can get the right funding in the right places, it is going to be a long-term project, right? It's not just a one and done for us. I think with every solution will only open up more challenges for us to go and tackle.
Great. All right. Well, I just want to say thank you to you, James, for
Thank you.
joining me today. And really, your insight and your passion here on the team is super um, been huge and monumental for us getting this far. I reflect back even about a year ago. I mean, you had a vision, and it's come true. We have this website, and we're out there talking to the right partners and to the lenders of soul. So thank you very much for the work that you're doing, trying to help us navigate this big jungle, as you call it.
Yeah, it's a effort of many, right? Of
Yeah.
course, the company, Tim, our CEO, the many employees here who do really focus on consumer first, on being consumer first, and of course, Amira, yourself and the team. We have a number of folks here: Rowena, Shannon, Fasao, Aaron, Gregory. We've quite a large team really working hard behind the scenes to make this a reality. Because we know it's not going to be easy, right? And we were fighting against hundreds of millions of dollars of payday loan profits, and we're just a small ragtag team. And so we really do need the support of the groups that we described earlier to really fight back against predatory lending. But again, it's very much worth it.
Yeah.
Each person we can help is one Miss Jones that we've kept out of a debt cycle.
Great. I also want to thank Charles Arwi, who's out there on the East Coast. Say thank you. He's there working with the NAACP. So I wanted to say thank you so much for co-hosting today. Many people out there, so that they know the good work that we both are doing together. I want to thank everyone that's joined us today. That you're spending some time with us this evening to kind of learn and know more. I hope you learned something new. And if so, if you're really interested in helping us and continuing to spread the word, I'm going to ask that you join us and sign up at nerd.me/webinar. That's nerd.me/webinar. And we can continue to work together, and you'll learn more about all the great work that we mentioned today and going forward. Thanks, and have a great evening.
All right.